In a peaceful forest where tall trees swayed gently in the breeze and birds sang sweet songs every morning, lived many different creatures, each with their own stories, their own hopes, and their own little secrets. Among them were a very clever fox and a proud black crow. Today, you'll hear a tale of flattery, cleverness, and a lesson that's as true for animals as it is for people. So, snuggle in, little one, and let's begin. One fine morning, as the sun peeked out from behind the hills and warmed the tops of the trees, a crow named Clara was flying high above the forest canopy. Her feathers shone like polished onyx in the sunlight, and her wings beat strongly as she glided across the sky. She had just come from the nearby village, where she had spotted a baker placing fresh bread and cheese on his windowsill. Clara, quick and stealthy, had swooped down and taken a plump, golden slice of cheese in her beak. It was soft, creamy, and had a scent that made her tummy rumble with joy. Clara flew to her favorite branch, an old sturdy oak in the middle of the forest, and perched happily. She looked around to make sure no one was watching. This cheese was her treasure. "I'll savor it in peace," she thought. But someone was watching. Not far below, hidden in the underbrush, was Felix the fox. Felix was known across the forest for being clever, charming, and just a little too sneaky. He hadn't eaten breakfast yet, and the smell of cheese floating down from the treetops made his mouth water. He squinted up and saw Clara holding the cheese proudly in her beak. "Well, well," he murmured with a grin. "What a lucky bird! But perhaps not lucky for long." Felix licked his lips and began to pace back and forth. How could he get that cheese? He couldn't climb the tree. It was far too tall. And Clara, he knew, wouldn't give up her prize for nothing. But what Clara had in wings, Felix made up for in words. Felix cleared his throat and stepped into the clearing, making sure Clara could see him. He called up in his smoothest voice, "Oh, what a marvelous sight I see today! Is that the most beautiful bird in all the forest?" Clara blinked and tilted her head. She kept the cheese tight in her beak, but looked curiously down at the fox. Felix continued, putting a paw over his heart dramatically. "Truly, I have never seen feathers so glossy, so dark, so rich, and those eyes, so wise and sharp. Why, you must be the queen of the skies." Clara ruffled her feathers proudly. She liked the sound of that. She stretched her wings a little, showing off without realizing it. Felix smiled wider. "But I wonder," he said slyly, "does the voice of such a majestic bird match her beauty? I would be honored, no blessed, to hear you sing just a single note." Clara hesitated. She did have a beautiful voice, didn't she? Birds always told her so. And if this fox thought she was majestic, well, maybe one note wouldn't hurt. And so, she opened her beak. The moment her beak opened, the golden piece of cheese tumbled out, slowly spinning through the air like a falling star. Clara gasped, but it was too late. With a swift leap and a grin on his face, Felix caught the cheese midair and landed gracefully. He gave Clara a wink and said cheerfully, "My dear, your voice is charming, but your judgment could use some work." And with that, he trotted away into the woods, humming to himself and munching on the delicious cheese. Clara sat in stunned silence on her branch. Her feathers drooped a little and her eyes lost their shine. She had been tricked, and all because she wanted to be praised. She stayed on the branch for a while, thinking deeply. Then she gave a small laugh, though her pride still stung. "Well," she said aloud to herself, Maybe next time, I'll keep my mouth shut." From that day on, Clara was wiser. She still enjoyed compliments, of course, but she no longer believed every sweet word that floated her way. And Felix? Well, he had a belly full of cheese and a story to tell. Moral of the story: be careful of sweet words that ask for something in return. Not everyone who praises you truly means it. True wisdom is not in how lovely we sound, but in knowing when to speak and when to stay silent.